Kicking off a new freaking week. First of all, my apologies. Last week, last couple videos had kind of spotty audio, and that's my bad. Now, Finn is waiting to attack this piece of lint that is falling from the sky, keeping an eye on it, realize it's not a threat, and we move on with our day. Anyway, I apologize in advance. My videographer is very mad. He calls me up. He's like, "You piece of shit! I told you how to set up your microphones," and I was like, "My bad, dude." And so anyway, a little bit of PTSD here. No big deal. We'll move on with the show. Today's video, I'll give you a bourbon recommendation at the end of this bad boy. But today's video is on if you should have, basically, should you do a dual agency situation? Now that's going to be a foreign term to you, and I'll give you a little bit of background on I'm sorry, everyone. It's been a week. Should you have one agent represent both sides? So let's just say that you're the buyer. Okay, should you have the seller's agent represent both the sellers and you, or vice versa? You're selling a place and, you get it, right? Should basically one agent represent both sides of the equation? And the answer is it depends. It depends, everyone. It depends on a few things. I'm going to give you an example. I try to have videos that I'm doing kind of real time based on feedback that we're getting from the field, right? Basically things that different clients and things like that are bringing us. So I had a client. I wouldn't even call him a client. A guy that we've been trying to help out. Look, occasionally, guys, it's the way it goes. Where you just have like, I can do everything that I can do in Utah to make it a pleasant experience for you in another state, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I'm not licensed in that state, so I'm kind of here as an advisor and connecting you with the right people. And sometimes, no matter how good we may do on our end, the other people on the ground there just suck. And that's been the case for these guys who are trying to buy some land. So he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, we've basically just been looking on our own because like all these agents have totally sucked," which makes me not happy. Not with the client, with the agents, but basically said we found a piece of land. The seller's agent showed it to us and basically said, "Hey, if you want, I can help you guys write basically I can represent both sides of it." Now, there's a caveat to this, right? Let's just say that you're an unrepresented buyer and you look at a house, you meet the seller's agent for whatever reason. Finn, please don't do that. And you want the seller's agent to represent you. One, they can't just say, "Well, I'll do it," and they do it. They have to go to the seller who they have an agreement with, an agency agreement, and they have to say, are you comfortable if I represent both sides of the equation here? If I'm representing you to sell your place and I have some buyers that don't have an agent, are you comfortable if I represent them as well? And there's some ways that works, and I'll kind of give you some pros and cons of both, either doing it or not doing it, because the answer is it really does kind of depend there. So first of all, everyone has a sign off. Everyone has a co-sign and say, "Hey, I'm the agent," right? "Hey, sellers, you guys good with this? Buyers, are you guys good with this?" And then cool, we send out paperwork that everyone signs saying that they are aware that me and my brokerage are representing both sides. There's pros and cons here. The pro would be this. You may, as the buyer, you may have a tiny bit more wiggle room on the purchase price of the property, and probably not much, probably not enough to even really feel it to really make a difference, but you may have a tad bit more wiggle room. The reason for that is that, let's just say I'm the agent who's going to represent both sides. For example, typically how the situation goes is, hey, I'm representing the seller, I'm selling their place. A buyer found it on Zillow, whatever, insert whatever website, right? And they come, they don't have an agent, they want to buy the house, and I'm like, cool, I represent the sellers, but I can, try to represent both sides. Usually that's how it's going to go. If I do that, if I as the agent decide I'm going to do a dual agency situation here, typically I'm going to offer to do that at a discounted commission. Let's just say that the plan was I was going to get paid 3% to sell it, and the buyer's agent was going to get paid 3% for bringing the buyers to the deal. So that's a total of 6% on the commission. I would probably do it for more like 4.5. I would try to cut maybe a 1.5 points off of that commission rate, just because I don't know. I think there's got to be some incentive to do that, right? And I think I just think it's the right thing to do, where it's just like, I mean, we've had this you know, personally in deals, and I've advised like, hey, don't take full 6%. Like some agents would think I'm crazy for saying that, but I'm like, look, essentially your services lessen in value, right? If you're going to represent both sides. So throw them a carrot, AKA take a discounted commission rate, 4.5%. Hey, that's still a banging commission rate. You know what I mean? So it's all good. So you may, as the buyer, say, have a little wiggle room on purchase price just because the seller may be paying a little bit less on commissions. Again, is it really enough to really move the needle? Probably not, but you know, it's a hypothetical scenario that you may get. The con of doing this, and this would be the reason that I would advise someone not to do it based on different circumstances. Okay, so again, it depends, but based on, you know, I would say, look, the con of it is no one is really represented here. Okay, because if take me as the agent right now, I'm representing if I'm just representing the seller, I have their best interest in mind at all times, right? And I'm going to try to give them pointers and strategies, and like I'm really representing them like to the best of my ability. As soon as I say I'm now representing the seller and the buyer, I now become a neutral party. So neutrality becomes my job the second I represent both ends. So the buyer essentially has to come to me, the agent, who's representing them and the seller now, and the buyer has to say, Jake, we want you to offer whatever, $295,000 on this property. They can't come to me and say, well, what should we offer? You think they got any other offers on it? I'm like, guys, I cannot disclose that because I know the reality because I represent the seller, but I also represent you. I can't advise you on that. Like inspection day comes, sorry, I think a piece of the lint floating in here just went into my mouth. But inspection day comes and it comes back and the buyers are like, okay, well, here's all this stuff. What do you think we should go for? And I'm like, guys, I can't advise you on that. Basically, you have to present to me what you have to bring to me what you want me to present to the sellers, and I will do that. And when I go to the sellers, I'm going to say, here's what the buyers are requesting. And if the seller's like, well, what do you think we should respond with? Guys, I can't do it. I represent them, but I represent you. So you get where I'm going with this? Like the pro, you might have a little bit of wiggle room on a couple dollars or something like that, but the con is you're really not represented. Now, there's circumstances where you go, I think it's okay to not be represented to the best of like your full agent's ability, right? Like there's scenarios where it's okay. Like this scenario was, you know, my guys were trying to buy some land. It was pretty cut and dry. They'd really done all the work. And essentially all they really needed to do was someone to be able to legally write up the paperwork and try to get the deal pushed through. Because they'd done so much of the legwork and due diligence on their own. That was a case of, and they had no leads on a good agent up there. Neither did I. So I was like, you know what? Go for it. I'd send it. I'd see if the seller's agent will represent both sides. The seller agent now has to go to the sellers and say, are you comfortable if I represent some buyers that want to make an offer, but they don't have an agent? You kind of see where I'm going with this. So, you know, it's a case of pros and cons. You just got to weigh it out. If you have an agent that you trust, 100% use your agent. If you're like desperate and you're kind of out of options and the circumstances make sense to try to have the seller's agent represent you as well, go for it. There's times when it can work. You need to have a really good vibe and a really good, like, does this agent seem legit? Do they seem stand up or like they're gonna fuck me over in the end of this thing, right? Like they gotta pass the sniff test. If they're like, dude, they seem like a stand-up person, I'm not catching any red flags, maybe go for it. So that's about the best that I can offer here, guys. Bourbon tip. So let me give you this. So this Nikka coffee grain whiskey, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of it. It's Japanese, and man, I'd been looking forward to trying this, and I got some not that long ago, and wow. I swear, guys, you can legitimately like taste coffee flavors in this, and I will be the first to admit, I don't have a sophisticated palate, okay? I'm still developing. It's getting better, but I don't have a sophisticated palate where people are like, I detect the this and that, and I'm like, really, bro? I don't know. It burns the shit out of me is what it does. This, you can actually taste the coffee influence in it. Really good. Highly recommend. It's kind of a mid-tier, you know, it's about $70 a bottle. So something that you're probably not going to just sit around and drink all the time, but you know, for those special occasions or you get a little celebration or something, really, really good. Guys, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well and have a good week lined up. If you guys need real estate help, of course, let us know. Nothing new there. You hear this pitch every week, all 4 of you that watch this. We got a lot going on here, so I hope we got some good stuff coming. I don't know why I keep doing this, so let's just stop doing that. Right? I don't know why I'm doing it. So anyway, let's wrap this shit up. I'm done. Goodbye. Crispy, thumbnail for this. Why don't we just go ahead and do them one at a time? Should you have the seller's agent represent both sides? We need like a standard, like, it depends face. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like I don't know how to do that and make it look presentable on camera. I guess that's just what we'll do. It's so stupid. I hate doing it every time. God damn it.